So our next speaker is Rebecca Mbewe, who is originally from Zambia and came to England in 1995. She settled in a career in legal administration for 14 years before resigning to explore further opportunities, which resulted in her return to full-time education, graduating with a BSc in psychology with counselling theory in 2012. Following years of volunteering at Positively UK, Rebecca was then employed as a caseworker, providing emotional and practical support to people living with HIV. A speaker, advocate and mentor, Rebecca contributes to various publications and media forums, including all-party parliamentary hearings. She currently serves on the board of the National AIDS Trust, and she's a proud mother to 2 sons with whom she lives with in London. So I'd like to invite Rebecca to come and talk to us about living with HIV and celebrating life.
Hi everyone. Excuse me. I've tweaked the heading a bit to celebrating life and living with HIV because I guess it reflects where I am at the moment. This afternoon, I stand before you as a speaker and as an encourager. I also stand here in the position of a mother, a sister, a friend, a work colleague, someone's partner, and many other titles that, we accumulate as we go along in life. Like many of you, I work, I go to church, I have a very active social life. Of course, I love to shop, like most of us ladies, my weakness being shoes. Within all of these roles are many celebrations, but also many challenges. For instance, the challenge that comes with being a mother, raising children, running the household whilst trying to hold down a full-time job, and, attending those ever important parents' meetings. The challenges that come with being an employee, negotiating deadlines, trying to remain calm in the midst of a work crisis. As a sister, dealing with the loss of a brother and being unable to attend the funeral because my immigration status hasn't yet been sorted out. So all those are the challenges, that we face. Challenges of being in a relationship. I won't even go down that avenue. But as I stand here today, I guess the challenge I'd like to talk about is that of my health and how I found myself diagnosed with HIV and going through the turbulent days of coming to terms with that diagnosis, reaching out to women who walked the journey before me, who have supported me, have comforted me and encouraged me. And then finding the strength and courage to support other women who came after me and, encouraging them. The 2011 World Health Organization statistics tell us that there are approximately 34 million people living with HIV and AIDS globally. 34 million, that's a huge figure. In the UK, we have, the figure is in the region of 96,000 people. A quarter of those, unfortunately, are unaware of their status. What we also know is that 33% of this number are women who are on treatment, fortunately, and are doing very well. And I hear you ask, why or how come people don't know their status? The challenge, which I often find in my line of work, and also, within my own personal experiences, is that there's a lot of stigma and discrimination around HIV. A lot of myths, and this has discouraged a lot of people, to test and to come forward or even to disclose to family and friends. Unfortunately, there's this belief that HIV, is for a certain group of people or for a certain type of people. Unfortunately, this is not the case. HIV can affect anyone. There is no type, there's no group, that it affects. And I guess this is why I'm here today. It's not to dwell on the challenges. I'm here to say that if you're not already living with HIV, stay on that side of the fence. Don't be complacent. Have your regular health checks. If you enter into a new relationship, make that one of the things that you talk about and discuss with your new partner. But if, like me, you find yourself in a situation where you have HIV, then be assured that it is not the end of the world. And in spite of all the challenges that I have faced, I've also celebrated many, many things. I went on to have my second child after my diagnosis, who is very well, and he is not HIV positive. I completed my degree in psychology and have been able to forge relationships with people who themselves are not HIV positive, I hasten to add. For those of us who perhaps find ourselves in situations where our friends and family are affected, rather than be part of the community that hypes the stereotypes and the myths, let me encourage you and all of us to show compassion and understanding. The myths that HIV only affects a particular group of people is just that, it's a myth. All the myths that you can contract HIV from hugging and kissing and, holding hands and sharing that cup of tea are just that. They're all just myths. I feel quite strongly that it's our duty and our responsibility as mothers, wives, sisters, brothers, to educate ourselves and others so that we do not exclude people living with HIV, because it's precisely that kind of response that drives people to become fearful of disclosing and or testing, which in turn can have a detrimental effect. As women, it's important to note that the way we respond can have a huge impact on reducing stigma and discrimination. So let's think about that. If there's one thing you take away from me today, please let it be that HIV is no longer a death sentence. It is a long-term manageable condition. So I stand here as evidence of that, and that we can have a long and fulfilling life. I urge you to be proactive in driving down stigma and discrimination by arming ourselves with knowledge and challenging the myths that surround HIV. Thank you. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer. Any questions? Sure. I'll take from, yeah.
I'm just curious what you think, because it's often asymptomatic, presumably being HIV. So, how do you think that those of us who think that we're on the safe side of this barrier at the moment, are you urging people to go and get themselves tested? What do you think people should be doing?
I think that is the key message, is to get yourselves tested and know where you stand, because that way, that obviously, you're able then to make the right decisions.
So make no assumptions.
Make no assumptions, and think, yes, I'm fine. Studies have shown that HIV can actually be dormant for quite a while, for a number of years before it actually starts to be active. So yes, the message there, I guess, is, make no assumption, get yourself tested.
In your experience, do you think people are getting more complacent about HIV? Because as you say, it's no longer seen as a death sentence, say, compared to 20 years ago, and now with retroviral growth. But from my experience of knowing people with HIV, it would be better not to have it. It's not exactly a cup of tea to live with HIV. And I find from talking to people that people have almost forgotten that it exists, and they just get on with their lives and don't use condoms. And I think it's insane. It's like, it's not a death sentence anymore. It doesn't mean it's not,
Yeah,
that you want to go down.
You're quite right. There are areas where people are actually getting quite complacent. There's the mistake that people assume that when your viral load, if you know the HIV virus is undetectable because you're taking treatment, the assumption is that you're cured, and it isn't. And I think the key message is that people need to understand there is absolutely no cure. And yes, it's not, you know, a very nice thing to be able to live with HIV, but, you know, people are becoming a lot more complacent, I guess, because it's sort of gone a bit more underground than, like you said, a few years ago when, you know, you had all the placards of HIV's death or things like that. So, yes, I think people are becoming, and that's the importance of getting the message out and saying, you know, steer clear, don't make assumptions, make sure you have a test, and yeah, just don't be complacent. Are quite important. Any more questions? Sure.
There's a group of us who are here from August with Girls, which is a secondary girls' school.
Mhm.
What would your advice be in involving young people in campaigns about HIV?
The same as everybody else, actually. It's just, you know, make yourself a lot more aware. Obviously, the more you arm yourself with knowledge and, you know, information, the less likely you are to be discriminatory, I think is a word. And yeah, I guess that's just involve yourself a lot more, be more aware of yourself and obviously of others. That would be my advice. Sure.
Just to respond to the young lady there, I think it's a good habit. I'm 39 now, but it's a good habit to get into that every time you have a new partner, before you come off condoms, even if the person says, no, I'm clean, you just book yourself in, you go for that half-an-hour test, you get all your tests done, and then you know from then on you can be with that partner for 5 months, a year, 6 years, and then the next time you have the next partner, you just make it,
Yeah.
just talk with your friends and you just make it a habit over the years.
Yes.
It's a natural thing before you
Thank you. Yes, that's quite
all
key.
your tests done, and then
Yeah.
you can live happily.
Yeah. Never go on the assumption then somebody says, oh, I'm clean. Yeah, but yeah.
Does the medical profession have any responsibility in the complacency? Because like the medical profession, I feel, propagates the myth that it's for certain groups, like through the questions that you're asked when, you know, through testing or whatever.
Yeah.
The questions that you're asked lead you to believe that there are certain groups that
Yeah.
are more.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the case. You do still get quite a lot of, you know, health professionals with that kind of attitude. But having said that, there's a lot of work being done in trying to educate those that, for instance, you know, aren't as aware as, to try and change the approach in terms of getting the message out there and saying that in actual fact, everybody is, you know, is at risk, and therefore they're trying to change. So there is work being done. It has been recognised that that is the case, and there's lots of work being done to try and change that kind of attitude. Yeah. I think there were 2 more questions around that way.
I wanted to ask, as somebody that had some questions and I wanted to explain a bit more about, you know, HIV and
Mhm.
AIDS, would there be some sort of resource place that you might point out would be good to send them to? Is there like some sort of in-depth website or a book that you might recommend? Or
Yes. And this is, you've got me thinking now, I should have had a you know, PowerPoint presentation, but there are lots of sites, and the ones that immediately come to mind is one called AIDS Map. That has, it's a very useful tool. Also, National AIDS Trust produce very good material, you know, for any kinds of questions that you have. And then, for example, there are those people that, like I said, need more information on treatment and how the drugs work. A very good website for that is called iBase. They also run little booklets, a series of different sort of booklets that they have, but there is quite a wealth of information. And in thinking about that, actually, a lot of people assume that you just go onto the internet and you can get information about HIV or pretty much everything, which is, I would encourage you not to do that. If you do look on the website, you know, on Google, get reputable websites, because there are lots of sites out there that don't actually have correct information. and that just drives stigma and discrimination. Yeah.
I'd be interested to know what you feel about the recent reports about this baby being quote-unquote cured of AIDS,
Yeah.
HIV, which, from my perspective, sounded like very irresponsible journalism, because there was no proof that this baby had been positive in the first place. It sounds more like early intervention antiretroviral. What's your feeling about that?
My feeling is exactly like yours. I'm also of the opinion that, yes, it's irresponsible journalism because they didn't exactly get all the facts correct. And I think a lot of other tabloids or newspaper people have actually picked up on that and have come back and said, actually, a lot more research needs to be done it needs to be carried out to actually determine what the circumstances were rather than just sort of blow it out of proportion. We had huge number of calls saying, well, so does that mean my baby can be cured? And you're thinking, no. And it's very difficult because people are anxious, mothers are anxious, and that's the first thing you look out for. But yeah, I'm of the same stance as you are.
Sorry, I'm really sorry, but we're really running over, so we'll have to ask the questions at the end.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer them personally, that's fine.